Hey everybody, welcome to the Knitting and Anxiety podcast. It's been a few months and this is take 2 because my first video had no sound. That shows me what I need to do when I buy new equipment. Read the instructions. So we have sound now, I hope, fingers crossed, and I'm hoping that I'll remember what I want to say. I do have show notes, and if I need to grab them, I'll grab them again, but we'll just see how it goes. So hello and welcome. If you're a new viewer, it's great to have you here. If you're a returning viewer, thanks so much for coming back. It's been about 3 months since I last put a video up on YouTube, and I am sticking with the talking at you format, and I'm going to be going back to numbering my podcast. So this is episode 26. If I continue from where I left off back in November, this would be about episode 26. That includes the former name of my podcast, which was the Fiber Nerd podcast, plus a handful of podcasts under the new name, Knitting and Anxiety equals 26. So today is episode 26, and it is Monday, February 25th, 2019. It is cold outside. It has been cold outside for what seems like forever, and that has made my mental health fall down, down, down. This is a podcast about knitting, as well as other fiber art related activities such as crocheting and spinning and hand dyeing yarn. I am a yarn dyer based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I live here with my husband and my son and my 3 cats, Wicket, Cricket, and Kennedy. So thanks for checking out my podcast today. I have a whole bunch to talk about because it has been so long since I last filmed a video. I hope you enjoy the new setup. I've got a microphone, I've got a light. I'm using my old Handycam, which is probably 10 or 11 years old, and I'm hoping that I don't forget to say something that I said in the first video that didn't happen because of the sound. The cats are roaming around, so they may make an appearance today. I am sitting in front of my yarn stash. Although messy, it is my lovely yarn that I love, and hopefully I can get through knitting it one day. So let's start off the top of the podcast with some finished objects. I am wearing my first finished object, and it is the Timely cardigan. I am going to try and insert some pictures here. I hope that they work because I am trying some new video editing software that I also purchased because 2019 is hopefully going to be my year of doing better at podcasting, editing podcasts, being more cheerful on podcasts, because I'm trying to be a happier person. I'm doing my makeup more often. I am doing my best to maintain my mental health, even though some days it's very hard, especially with this long winter. So my Timely cardigan is a pattern by Truly Myrtle. Her name is Libby, and you can find her on Instagram as @TrulyMyrtlePhotos. The Timely cardigan is a fingering weight cardigan. It is a top-down raglan construction, and I use 2 colors of yarn. The first color is a speckle by Midnight Cravings called it's their anti-bullying yarn called Room for Everyone. There you go. The second color is Blush by Comfy Cozy Knits, and I will stand up and show you a close-up picture of the yarn. Here it is. Hopefully it's focusing. It's hard for me to see, but you can see that there are subtle, very subtle stripes because the Midnight Cravings yarn is a kind of a speckle, and it blends really nicely, giving a watercolor effect with the blush. And I love it so much. And it buttons up. I've got just some very plain clear buttons that were in my stash. And it has a beautiful twisted rib hem and cuff. And my favorite part about the pattern is the rolled hem, or the rolled neckline. I love that part so much. So using the pattern instructions, I swatched using the recommended needle size, and I got gauge, or kind of close to gauge. So I went with it, and I can't remember what size I knit. I think I went, the recommended ease is like a negative ease to 0 ease, and I wanted, I didn't want a tight fitting sweater, especially the pattern photos showed, it looked very tight on the arms, and I wanted a looser fit. I wanted to be able to comfortably wear a shirt, even a long sleeve shirt underneath this sweater as a layering piece. And yeah, so I can't remember what size I made, but I know that I made a size bigger than I would have based on what the pattern recommended, just so I don't have that really close, tight fitting feeling. And I wanted to be able to button up, which I can do. I can totally button up my sweater, and it's not too tight. I use my Hiya Sharps interchangeables for the body of the sweater, using the recommended sizes, and I purchased some 12-inch circular Hiya Sharp needles to do the sleeves, because I love knitting my sleeves in the round on 12-inch circulars. Anything else to say about the sweater? I love wearing it all the time. It's warm without being too hot. The fingering weight is like the perfect weight sweater for any season, and I can't wait to wear it in the summer over some cute tops and maybe some dresses if I'm feeling adventurous. So the next finished object I'm going to show you are my son's Harry Potter socks. So I gave these socks to my son for Christmas. They didn't have a heel, however. I just put the heel in this week, and I did an afterthought heel, which I've honestly been terrified to try because I'm scared of cutting my yarn. But I did it. I followed a video tutorial by Amy Edwards Green on YouTube. She is the Stranded Podcast, and she posted a video about how she does her afterthought heels. So I tried it and I loved it. And they fit my son a lot better. They are a little bit too long for him because I wasn't quite sure about where to put the heel. But I erred on the side of being a little too big since his feet are still growing. They are actually really long socks. They go all the way up to his knees, but they're quite tight on his calves just because I didn't make them bigger at the top. Oh well, he can wear them slouched down, and then maybe if he outgrows them, then I can have them, because I think they would fit me. I did these socks top down on my 8-inch circular Addi 8-inch circular needles, and they are a size 2mm. A little bit smaller than I have done in the past, but I really like the fabric that it made. They seem to fit as well as can be expected. Like I said, he's gonna grow into them. Yeah, so a 64 stitch sock. I did like a kind of an 1.25 inch 2x2 rib, and then I just knit a tube all the way down, rounded toe, and then I added an afterthought heel in the same yarn. The yarn is Biscot Yarns in the Sorcerer's Scarf colorway. And it's beautiful yarn to work with. It is soft, the color is great. I highly recommend Biscot Yarns, and they didn't pay me to say that. So this FO is off to Brett to wear. My next finished object, I do have 2 of these, but I only have 1 sock blocker, are my Ugly Sweater Party Christmas socks. They are a 20 stripe repeat from the Wool Baron, who is Louise, and I bought this yarn at the Calgary Fibers Shindig in the fall, back in October I think. And this sock fits me perfectly. This is the first sock that I knit. I did I think a 15 row 2x2 rib cuff. I also used my 8-inch circular needles, my Addi 8-inch circular needles, which are 2mm. I did a short leg, I did a heel flap and gusset, and then I continued down the foot and I did a rounded toe. The heel and the toe are in a contrasting color, also by the Wool Baron. Now when I knit my second sock, I did exactly the same thing. I knit the same number of rows for the cuff, the leg, the foot, and then I decreased at the toe after I had done the exact same number rows for the foot, and the sock's a little too small. My gauge changed ever so slightly. It got a little bit tighter. So the second sock, the leg is a little shorter, the foot is a little shorter, and it is a little tighter around in general. So when I put it on, it feels a little more snug, which isn't so bad, but it pulls the heel down under my foot because the foot isn't long enough. So what I'm planning to do is unpick the toe and pull back to before the decreases and add a little extra length, and then put the toe and then reknit the toe so that at least I can wear them because they are so fun. I love wearing these stripes. When I look down at my feet while I'm wearing them, it just makes me happy, and so that's why I want to knit more self-striping socks, because they're fun and they make me happy. So that's my plan with the socks. Any more FOs? No. I'm going to share with you just a few of my works in progress because I actually have a lot and I don't want to overwhelm you or take up too much of your time. So I'll save some of them for a future episode, which I'm hoping will become a little more consistent than it has been. So my first work in progress is another pair of socks. They are in my Lady Dragonfly Studio bag. Her name is Marlene, and this is a zipper bag, and it has this really cute rawhide zipper pull with it, a really pretty bead. And inside is a little notions pouch. And these socks I showed on my last video. They are my 2 at a time toe-up socks using Knit Picks Felici yarn. And I ended up ripping back the gusset increases that I had started last time, and I decided just to knit a tube or 2 tubes and do afterthought heels. My original plan was to knit like knee-high socks using one ball for each sock, but I'm kind of getting really tired of knitting them, so I might just stop and do the 2x2 ribbing and bind off sooner than I anticipated, because yeah, I'm just getting kind of tired of knitting them. Knitting 2 at a time isn't my favorite way. It's slower for me. Like, I realize that yes, it takes longer because you're knitting 2 socks at the same time, but even just the process of knitting on the magic loop is just too slow for me. I would rather knit on my 9-inch circulars. So yeah, I may stop this soon. Am I recording? Yes. Okay, just had to check because I don't see the little light on my camera. Okay, so I'm gonna put an afterthought heel in these. The needles I'm using are Addi Turbos 2.25 millimeter 40-inch cord, I think, and I really like them. They're very smooth. They have a nice sharp tip. They have a fairly smooth join. There's a little bit of catch in there. There's just a tiny bit of catch in there. I think my cat has chewed on the cables, so there's a couple places where the yarn snags a little bit, but yeah. It's nice and soft yarn. The color is a little bit kind of dirty in places. I never really noticed before until my friend Ariana pointed out that her Felici yarn of the same colorway, the yellow looked kind of dirty. And honestly, I think the color transitions aren't great, and there is some, it looks almost dirty in places. Do you see what I mean? Ariana, now I know what you're saying. I didn't really notice before. So yeah, so those may become an FO soon. I don't know. Oh, I forgot to put my little bag away. My next work in progress is a shawl, or a wrap rather. It is the Among the Clouds wrap by Rye Flower Knits, And I'm using all 24 of my Advent mini skeins from my own Advent calendar that I dyed last year. I dyed an extra one for myself because why not? I love yarn, and I saw this pattern that Melinda posted a picture of on her Instagram page that was designed using an Advent calendar of mini skeins, and so I decided I would use it to knit my Advent calendar minis. And I have about 7.5 colors left to add to this. All of the colors in this shawl or wrap are already in my shop. So these first 4 are from the first 4 days of the Alison Barnes Yarn Advent calendar, and the names that I've decided to name these colors are based on life events and Beatles songs. So the Beatles songs is because I grew up listening to the Beatles. My dad's from England and he loves the Beatles, still does, and listening to the Beatles just makes me happy, and that's a good enough reason for me to name some of these after Beatles songs. So this first color is called First Kiss, and then we have Platonic Love. Then we have Maybe I'm Amazed, which is a Paul McCartney song. Then we have Debutante. Then we have Get Back, Fistful of Pennies, The Mountains Are Calling, I Feel Fine, that's another Beatles song. Lucy in the Sky, that's a Beatles song. Self-Reflection, Because, that's a Beatles song. This one is Midlife Crisis. 8 Days a Week, which is a Beatles song. Okay, what's this one called? Oh, Something, which is a Beatles song. This one is Ticket to Ride. I think, yes. Boy, it's a good thing that I'm redoing this video because I called it the wrong name. Or maybe I didn't even say what name it was. And this one is Don't Let Me Down, another Beatles song. And I've just started the next color, which is a beautiful dove gray, and it doesn't have a name yet, so it's not in the shop, but all of the other colors are in the shop, and they are available on my basic sock base, and I'm currently in the middle of dyeing up the colors on worsted weight and DK weight, so you can expect to see those colors on those bases soon. So yes, I can't wait to finish this wrap. It is my wingspan right now. I have, 7.5 colors left to go, and then I'll block it out and it'll show off the beautiful lace detail that is in the shawl by Rye Flower Knits with a picot edge, so pretty. The white color is my Bare It All colorway, which is just natural skein. And yeah, I think it sets up the colors really nicely. I am knitting this on my Knitter's Pride, the metal ones, what are they called? Zings? They're quite nice. Recommended needle size, and yeah, I don't mind this at all. I think the cord is pretty good, the join's pretty good, and they're an affordable needle. I get them at my local yarn shop, the Fiber Nook. Yes, so that is being kept in my Andrea's Handspuns yarn party bag, which is beautiful and has tons of pockets and a drawstring top. So I have one more work in progress I want to show you. It is my crocheted Scrappy Granny Stripe blanket, which I started last year. My friend Ashley and I both decided to start a scrappy blanket, and I have got quite a bit done. So I'm using the pattern by Attic24 on, I think it's a blog. It's online. Just Google Attic24 Granny Stripe blanket. And I'm using my Clover 3D or 3.25 millimeter crochet hook, which is nice and comfy. I am a pencil gripper crocheter. And last time I showed you my blanket had about 18 to 20 inches depth, and it's as big as my wingspan. Now it is grown by another 12 to 18 inches. So this is where I currently am, and these are all of the colors, and that's where I started. So since my last video, I have added all of my mini skeins from my Comfy Cozy Knits advent calendar, which is kind of in the middle-ish here. Goes from here to here, finger to finger. And I've just started adding my mini skeins from my own advent calendar, and I'll continue to add those. And then I'll be done both advent calendars. So what's next? Spinning. I have been doing a lot of spinning lately. The last time I showed you some finished yarn from my Tits Out Collective fiber that I purchased from the Fiber Goddess, and just recently I have started spinning, I finished spinning 2 singles of some fiber that I bought from Lily and Pine Fiber Arts. And they are different fiber preparations. This bobbin was spun from about 4 ounces of roll eggs of merino wool, untreated merino wool. It's very soft, and the colors were kind of a very girly, neon-y rainbow. And I wasn't sure if I was going to fit it all on this bobbin, but you can see I still have a little bit of room here, because then I spun some hand-pulled roving of merino onto this bobbin, and it is full. I could not fit any more on there if I tried. It is also blowing out. It looks quite neon. It's not neon, but it is very bright, and I'm planning to ply them together. So I'll have one giant 8-ounce skein of hand-spun yarn, which I have no idea what it's going to become, but I just knew that I wanted that. What I plan to spin next, after this is plied, are some roll eggs that I got for Christmas from my friend Ashley. And they are superwash merino from Bad Habit Wool Company, and they are on Facebook and Etsy. And these are really fun. I'm gonna take one out. So these are the colors in this roll egg, and there's 4 ounces here, so I am planning to spin half each into a single and doing a 2-ply with these. Yeah, and I don't know what it'll become after that, but I'm thinking maybe a really nice soft hat. All right, now I have some acquisitions to show you. So since my last episode, the last thing I bought before the end of the year was a sweaters. The last thing I bought before the end of the year was a sweaters quantity of yarn from my best friend Ashley, Comfy Cozy Knits. I bought 8 skeins of her Candy Apple colorway on DK. And I think it was a portage sweater that I was thinking of knitting with this yarn. And this color I've been eyeing up since she started dyeing it. I have 2 sweaters quantity of yarn from her, Bumbleberry and this one, Candy Apple. So although this is just going to be shelf yarn for a little while because I have some other things I want to knit first. Yay! The other thing I got, so after Christmas, you know, I wasn't planning on buying any yarn until my first Fiber Festival, which will be the Peace Fiber Fest in Dawson Creek, British Columbia, at the end of April. And my friend Ashley had a pop-up shop at our local yarn store, the Fiber Nook. And while I was there helping her, I decided that I had to get at least her mini skein set to put in my blanket because they're really special and they're sparkly and I love them. So these are her mini skeins from her Power of Positive Thinking collection. There are 4 colors. I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but each one has its own name. And I think this one's my favorite, and this one's Ashley's favorite. But these are in her shop, and they are a sock weight, like a fingering weight. Superwash merino, nylon, and lurex. The sparkle is the lurex. It's a strand that's plied around, and it's so pretty and so soft and extra. It's like extra squishy because it's a little more plump than our regular stock base. My last acquisition is a new Lady Dragonfly Studio drawstring bag. I had this custom made for me. I selected this bird fabric because I love birds. It's got robins and chickadees on it, and a beautiful feather fabric on the bottom. It has stiff interfacing on the bottom, so the bag stands up very nicely. And inside is this beautiful lining, and there are some slip pockets all the way around the inside of the bag. And I also got one of her wool felt dumpling bags, which is the cutest. So this is going to be a really nice notions pouch for me. And I don't have a project for this bag yet, but I'm looking forward to using it. Okay, I think I talked about all of the projects and acquisitions and spinning, and so normally I talk about my mental health at the end of the episode, so I'm just going to go into briefly about how it's been going. The main reason I haven't podcasted since the end of November is because of my mental health. I traveled to Arizona at the end of November, beginning of December, and I had a wonderful time. I was visiting my parents, and I felt incredibly relaxed, so happy. The weather was beautiful, and then when we came home, it was like the complete opposite. And my seasonal affective disorder, which I've had the last couple years, just seemed amplified. It got so bad, I started napping every day for like 2 hours a day in the morning. Like, even waking up in the morning, I felt like I hadn't had a good sleep, so I would nap for an hour or 2. I was eating more, I've gained weight. It got really bad. Now I'm already on medication for my anxiety and depression, so my doctor didn't add any extra medications for that, but she did suggest I start taking vitamins, vitamin D, and some omega-3, and to start using a therapy light. I did start them right away, and then because one of the symptoms of my depression is just general foggy-headed forgetfulness, and I kind of slipped up and stopped taking my vitamins and using my light and stuff. So I gotta try and get back into doing that, because this winter's been a long, hard one. It's been super cold the last month. Even my son has not had outdoor recess at school. That's how cold it's been. So I want to know how you are doing. The more we talk about our mental health, the better we feel, because by sharing our problems, we're not hiding them, okay? Our feelings are real, and I need you to know that you're not alone. I think on a future podcast, we'll talk a little bit more about racism and the topics of discussion that have been going on in social media lately regarding white privilege and white supremacy, and about myself and others learning about our privilege and trying to understand where Black and Indigenous people of color are coming from, because I've learned a lot in the last 2 months almost now about my privilege. I didn't know that I had privilege because I live my life like this. I never watch the news because of how it made me feel, and I understand that it's my privilege that allows me to turn off the news and not see all of the horrific things that are happening in the world, because there are others that live it every day. So I want you to know that I'm learning and I'm unlearning, and that I've always lived my life in a way that I treat everyone else with kindness. Okay, so kindness is my first program response, but I know that the way that I grew up and the way that I was raised, that we start that we have these underlying prejudices that affect us and the way we see other people in the world. And I'm just starting to unpack that, and I'm learning as much as I can, and I'm hoping that I can partner with some designers who are people of color. And if you are a person of color, if you're Black or Indigenous or identify as a person of color, and you're a designer, a knitwear designer, I want you to know that you can approach me for yarn support. I do provide free yarn support to designers for people who have ideas and they need that yarn support to make their ideas come to life. So please, I want you to know that you are welcome to contact me for anything that you need in regards to yarn support. I'm hopefully learning as much as I can about my I can't talk anymore. I can't get the words to come out. I hear you, I see you, and I'm in your corner, and I'm learning, and I hope that makes sense. So I hope that my rambling at the end made some sort of sense to you. I think it's something that we need to talk about all the time, and we can't just shove it under a carpet and keep knitting. We need to discuss racism and how we're going to make everyone feel welcome. I will see you next time. Bye.